Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. Excited as can be with the jam-packed weeks of great television programming. You can go to my website, totaltutor.net, for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and Google Plus, Neil Haley. And I have a variety of guests for the next couple of weeks. Always when I come to the studio, I tape a bunch of different episodes. As you know, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm all mover and shaker, always all over the place. If you're in the North Hills area, and you see I'm in Northern Connection magazine, so all those cool things. By going to my social media sites, that's the best thing to do. So I'm so excited to welcome the program, founder and vice president of Greenlight Energy, Mike Hartofilis. Mike, thanks for calling, and how are you?
Hey, happy Arbor Day. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, well, absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad to have you on the program. And it's interesting when you talk about Greenlight Energy, but I wanted to jump in your journey. Your whole life, did you kind of look at specifically that you would be involved in business and a vice president? Was that something when you were growing up that you thought you would do?
Not at all. Well, my father was a self-employed insurance agent, provided well for us over the last 30 years growing up. So, I kind of course, idolized him. Everything he's made for himself was through the fruits of his own labor. And as far as being the owner of a company or leading a business, I only thought I'd be going. I always kind of figured I'd be going into business for myself, but not necessarily to this level. So very very excited to be in the position I am in currently, especially with still working with my father, George Hartofilis.
Well, absolutely, and it's the kind of journey, right, Mike? You had that journey with your father before even getting into Greenlight Energy, correct? In some of your experiences.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We started the company over 6 years ago. Initially, as I mentioned before, he was in the insurance industry for about 30 years. Coming out of college, the whole idea was that we can, and the insurance industry, very competitive industry to be in. He provided medical benefits to, pretty solid book of business. And the idea coming out of college was that I could kind of help supplement his business somehow. We looked into a lot of areas, but one being, energy really interested me, and
Right.
I thought, if I could perhaps save his clients on their bottom line on their energy bills, then we could get kind of a competitive edge. But through the process, after going through licensing, of course, securing partnerships in the energy industry, just established that it's a fantastic business to be in, and I just figured, heck with insurance, let me break away and build this own business.
Yeah, and so you understand the sales and the marketing portion of it by selling insurance, because a lot of times in that type of a field, you have to go and build your own clientele base yourself and create and establish relationships and see who and meet new interesting people. Now, getting in this field, everyone needs energy. So kind of partnering with your father and things like that and working with him in this 6-year journey, it must be amazing for sure, because you're able to, what you were able to learn from him growing up to now together, it must be a fabulous life choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's really cool, the amount of, you take on a different relationship, of course. It's with my father now. We're sharing in a company. Of course, he's a little bit more conservative than I am in a lot of cases, but he's been willing to hand over the keys in a lot of ways and kind of let me run with things. So I'm much more geared towards, of course, growth and looking into other products that we could provide our customers. And he's a little bit more conservative, but we work well together. He's got a lot of wisdom that he imparts on a daily basis, and of course, I want to
for sure
run the company as well as I can.
For sure, and I don't know a lot about energy, and by coming on the Total Education Network Neil Haley Show, you're really going to educate me in specific ways about Greenlight Energy, what it is. I know it's an energy company, and what differentiates you from your competition, and what have been the kind of different things. So let's kind of specifically first go into define what Greenlight Energy is, the premise of the company.
Okay, down to brass tacks, what we do is we essentially provide natural gas and electricity supply to the utility on our customer's behalf. So to really break it down, utility charges are made up of delivery and supply charges.
Right.
So the delivery charges are, the utility reading a meter or just servicing your account, but the supply portion of the bill is the actual tangible commodity itself that the customer uses. In terms of electricity, it's the kilowatt hours.
Right. Okay.
In natural gas, it's the therms used. So you're paying the price per therm or per kilowatt hour with the utility. So when a customer enrolls with a company like Greenlight Energy, they are getting that supply rate from Greenlight Energy. You're contracting with Greenlight Energy to provide that supply at a certain rate, and that is, that's how we step in, and it's essentially a free service through the utility. You get the same utility bill that you always get. You pay the one consolidated bill to the utility, so there's no additional fees or anything of the sort by going with a third-party supplier. And there's a lot of benefits to it. One being you can sign up for a fixed rate. You pay the same rate every month.
Right.
With an ESCO, you know exactly what you're getting into, and that's not something currently offered by the utility. So, what we've seen in the past year, one of our major local utilities, Con Edison, their electric rates jumped from 10 cents per kilowatt hour to over 20 cents in a 1 month span. So, had the customer enrolled in a fixed rate with Greenlight at 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour, they could have protected themselves against that volatility and essentially saved 50% on their supply. So
yeah, and it's interesting once we come up with a way that there are different deliverers of that supply, that literally that there's one that it used to be a monopoly 10, 20 years ago. Now we're changing in energy in so many ways that there's so many more options out there. And for you to put a fixed rate out there, that changes the game, right? Because so many people are seeing, and I see this in my electric bill right now in the Pittsburgh area. I live outside of Pittsburgh, and it's ridiculous. I am paying more for electricity even in the winter than I'm paying for gas right now because of fracking and all. I guess that's one of the big things. But I'm seeing my electric bill, and it's skyrocketing right now. And so by being able to get that fixed rate, that changes things a lot. And also to know that you have a company that you can count on and trust on and provide that customer service, correct?
That's right, yeah. And as far as the weather also plays a very big part in the market over the last couple of years. We've had extreme changes in temperature, so that's going to have a serious impact on the market for natural gas as well as electric. We've seen volatility, over the past 4 years that the market's never seen before. Right. So it's definitely a good idea to get into, to lock up a fixed rate. And also, you can, if you were to purchase electricity supply through a third-party supplier, you can get it through a renewable energy source. So, currently we can sign customers up with wind and solar power if they were. And that's, a push we're making right now so that the energy comes from a renewable source, which isn't offered currently from any utilities we deal with. I'm not sure about out in Pittsburgh.
Right. Interesting. Well, someday you'll maybe take over Pittsburgh. You'll come into the Pittsburgh area. Who knows with your goals? And I can see you as a definite innovator in so many ways. And that's the thing that makes you different to your competition, is that literally you're looking at green, trying to make energy green, and you were talking about those two things. So offering that to your customers brings a more loyalty than how many different service providers are out there now with deregulation. That you're providing something completely different to your competition, right? In a way, that offering this to them, right?
Yeah, most definitely. That is our focus right now, and through our collaboration with the Arbor Day Foundation as well. We just rang in the NASDAQ opening bell with the National Arbor Day Foundation, and we're currently their Northeast partners.
That's fantastic.
And, so that is our main focus in just really bringing green energy options, giving our customers the tools to kind of change their mindsets, or at least be able to track their carbon footprint. And we did so by launching this new website, just 2 days ago on Earth Day. So it's been a very busy week for us. It's been crazy, but
it sounds like it. Well, that's a good thing, right? It's good to be busy.
Yeah.
and I think that needs to be a movement, especially to kind of educate people. Mike, that's your job now. I guess you had to educate people in the insurance game. Now it's your job to educate people about green energy, and especially when you hear different sides of the story. Definitely something we need to have you come back on to specifically talk about in so many ways. But I think what makes this your company so exciting is the fact that you're going to have people now that are going to back you and choose Greenlight Energy over, you said Edison or any of the other competition, because of your goal of being green. Such an important thing for sure. I mean, that's huge if you're looking at differentiating yourself in business. And in an insurance game, you had to do the same thing, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, most definitely. We started as far as how I push it. When we first started, I was sitting at the phone making the calls myself. It was essentially me and my father. I was handling the customer service calls. But now I can devote my time to establishing, these partnerships with the Arbor Day Foundation and like-minded companies, to really get our message out there. And we've built up a very nice book of clients over the last 5 years. So our approach has always been kind of a delicate one, right, as far as the green, in offering. We didn't want to hammer anyone over their heads with, because a lot of people get nervous by going green. They think it comes as an added expense. So, right now we're kind of in the process of easing all of our customers into, going green in some way, whether it's offering a complimentary tree through the Arbor Day Foundation, or, getting their electricity through a renewable energy source. So
awesome.
We're really doing this at
perfect,
cost.
Mike. Where's the best place we can find information on you and learn more about you? Where can we go?
Most definitely. You can visit our newly launched website at gogreenlightenergy.com. We are very excited about it. It's offering a very interactive experience for the customer, and we hope that kind of gives us an edge in this market as well.
Well, thanks for calling, Mike. Best of luck to you. Reach out to me when you want to kind of educate us in a more of a longer format about the company in its green process, and specifically how you came up with that idea. But our listeners need to check it out, and thanks again for calling.
Most definitely. Thanks for having me, guys, and happy Arbor Day.
All right, happy Arbor Day to you as well. You are watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, my name's Jim Koontz, and this is John Bauer, and we're paramedics with Tri-Community South EMS.
This year, EMS Week is May 17th through May 23rd. Tri-Community South EMS would like to use this week to start our campaign on distracted driving.
Distracted driving has been called an epidemic. Unfortunately, many of us drive distracted. So what is distracted driving?
It is driving while engaged in any activity that could divert a person's attention away from the prime task of driving.
Texting, making phone calls, putting on makeup, reaching for objects, changing the CD or radio channel is part of an endless list that put us at risk. The following statistics should make each of us think about making changes in the way we drive or ride in a car. In 2012, over 3,000 people were killed and 421,000 were injured as a result of distracted driving.
In 2011, it was estimated that a typical daylight moment, at least 660,000 cars were being driven by drivers using handheld cell phones.
40% of teenagers have been in a car with a person using a cell phone while driving in a way that put others in danger. Driving while using a cell phone reduces the amount of brain activity devoted to driving by 37%.
Change the way you drive. Speak up for your safety.
Drive without texting or talking on your cell phone. Make calls or texts prior to driving. Pull over to a safe location to text or check emails. Stop texting or talking on cell phones to others that are driving. It all starts with you.
In honor of EMS Week, Tri-Community South would like to thank and recognize our staff for the work they do in keeping our community safe. For more information on Tri-Community South EMS, our CPR classes, or our Speakers Bureau, visit tcsems.org.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and fantastic guest learning about green energy. I didn't know that certain energy companies are going that route of completely green in so many ways. So definitely a variety of interesting guests, but I'm excited to welcome to the program former National School Board President Ed Massey and former teacher. Ed, thanks for calling, and how are you?
I am excellent, thank you.
It's tremendous for you to be on the show, and I find it very fascinating, your experience and background in education. So for our listening audience and viewing audience, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I'm currently a private attorney, but my interest in education started many years ago when my first legal case actually involved someone very close to me, and I got deeply involved in the educational world. In fact, I had taught in public school during my time in law school.
Oh, wow.
I became very interested in educational interest. I went on to become a board member, subsequently the state president in Kentucky, and then ultimately the national president.
That's a tremendous journey. And when you're saying law school, so what made you, while you were going to law school, was it more at first to kind of have to build another income while going to law school? You're saying I can just go ahead and teach, and never knowing that this profession was going to be more of the profession than you really hoped for at first?
Well, I actually tell people many times that law is my occupation, but education is my passion.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I was substitute teaching through law school and was actually on a dual course of education and law. When I had that experience I mentioned earlier, it actually helped me understand that I can make as much of an impact, if not more, on education through my legal circles. And that's exactly what I've done.
Well, definitely. And so you partnered both areas together in so many ways. So you used a lot of your legal terms in being the president and stuff, right, for the National School Board.
That is correct.
And so you understood education from having those opportunities as a substitute teacher and stuff like that. And then once you finished law school, you said you got to partner those two talents together, it sounds like.
That's correct. And actually, it's been very fruitful as a board member to have had that experience in the classroom, because it gives me a unique understanding from a governance level as to how the day-to-day operations work within the school.
Definitely. And what's interesting now is the relationship, our topic tonight, but I definitely would, today, I definitely want to go back into some of your background, because it'd be fascinating to go through what you did on a daily basis as that school board president and stuff, and seeing specifically public education and looking at it in a national level and viewpoint for sure. But now you're working with NASCAR. Tell us specifically what's going on with this whole NASCAR thing for sure.
Well, another passion of mine that I kind of got into in 2001 was NASCAR. The way I got into NASCAR is I was assisting the local recruiters to get access to the high schools so they could talk about their military programming. They invited me to go to a NASCAR race. I went, I got hooked, and then I began to think about ways that I could draw NASCAR and education together. And so now I'm doing multiple things, including teaching. I'm also working with the Kentucky Speedway on what's called a Racing to Excellence program, which engages students and teachers in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Wow. That's really cool. Because think about the specific thing is, I'm sure when you first went to your first NASCAR event, you didn't think that you would like it so much, right? Especially, I don't know what sports you liked before that introduction to NASCAR.
Well, I was a traditionalist.
Yeah,
I was a traditionalist. I like football, basketball, and baseball. But I really, when I watched NASCAR on TV, just saw cars going in circles and thought, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
When I went to the race and I was able to see from a firsthand perspective what goes into a race, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the strategy, the involvement of computer technology, along with many scientific facets, I was just amazed.
Well, and I wouldn't know this, and so you're educating us today, Ed, about the whole thing, the whole process of what goes into it. I think it's just watching a bunch of cars go around and around. I won't watch it on TV, but I guess seeing it live is a different viewpoint. And really, and I talked to drivers. I've talked to some major drivers before on my show, and really what was fascinating is they talked about specifically it's such a scientific thing. That's, I think, where the whole process of STEM comes into it. So when you were there and you saw specifically what you need to do to be a successful NASCAR driver, then I guess the wheels started turning, didn't they?
It did, and it's more than just the driver. That's the way a lot of people see the NASCAR circuit. They see the drivers. But if you peel the layers back and you look at the teamwork element of the crew chief, the pit crew, the owner, the sponsors, the engine builders, all the people that go into this to make it successful, that's how I drew the analogy to education, because it's not just about one person, a teacher in the classroom. It's about the custodians. It's about the cafeteria workers, the teachers, the principals, the board members.
Exactly.
All of those people have to work together to have success.
It's a team effort, and that's a great analogy in comparison to looking at specifically NASCAR to the schools. You can't be a successful driver unless you have a great team ahead, and also researchers, and looking at what types of how should we build the engine, and what should we look at, and specifically how we can be better as a pit crew, and all those different things go into it. And why can't that be shown all on TV? That would be a great reality show, NASCAR, and how it really works, because so many people just think of it, oh, they're just racing cars.
Well, I'm very grateful that NASCAR, through this Racing to Excellence program, has partnered with us and given students the opportunity to see firsthand what goes into preparation for a race, including the measurements for fuel, the measurements for tire pressures and air, the spring capacity and the way they load on the track, and all of those things go hand in hand. Last year, we were able to have some students embedded into truck teams for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
All right.
And they were able to be there with the teams. They actually were in the pits during the race. They were keeping lap times for the cars, and it was just fascinating and really helped them understand that all that work they do in the classroom really does have a real-world application.
And definitely, and tell us, and that's so great. So they're kind of following them around, seeing how everything works together in a certain way. I remember there was a driver I had on the program that did that for some of the kids that had ADHD, because he had ADHD, and he basically did the same types of things himself, where he was a racer, and he basically would show them specific things and understand what it was involved and things like that to provide that interest. Because now also one thing that my brain's moving with the NASCAR is you have engineers, you have people that in the pit crew that are doing other things that are more, second career trades. So you can pretty much show people through NASCAR, through even the social media and stuff. There are plenty of jobs in NASCAR for your students that might have not had an interest in something that now want to research and understand things more, for sure.
That's exactly correct. In fact, one of the gentlemen I've become friends with in NASCAR is the communications person that sets up the drivers meeting, and I asked him how he got started, and he said he got started many years ago sweeping the garage floors at Daytona.
Oh, wow.
And he just built up through the process, and as he built up through the process, he got new jobs, his interest expanded, he was given opportunity, and he has a wonderful career now, and many people would envy his type of work because he's in that circle every week, week in, week out. But it all started back when he was sweeping the floors at Daytona. And I think that's a lot like today. Students go to school.
Yeah.
They get touched by a teacher in some way.
Exactly.
To inspire them, and then they decide to pursue a career in education. They take what they've learned, they apply it, and then they go through the process to help engage and teach other children. And I think that's what makes the analogy so powerful.
It makes it very powerful. And wow, it's definitely an interesting thing. Where can we find information on this? Especially other schools can get involved in this as well, possibly through this program that NASCAR's done with you guys?
Oh yeah, we what we've done, the Racing to Excellence program is actually on the Kentucky Speedway website. But the way it works is we actually generate, the Speedway gives certificates to the schools and they can basically use those certificates to reward students or to inspire students to get them to come to the race. They then allow the parent to buy a reduced value ticket, and that gets them, it accomplishes two things. It fills seats for NASCAR, but at the same time, it exposes the next generation to what NASCAR is really all about. And NASCAR has become very good about engaging the positives. So they want to do those things and have partners that have a positive impact on communities. And of course, one of the greatest community assets is the schools. So if anybody wants to look that up, they certainly can go to the Kentucky Speedway website under the Racing to Excellence icon, and they can look into that. We've actually partnered also with NASA. NASA is going to be at the track on July, I believe it's the 11th.
Wow.
And we are working with them. So this is about training teachers. We actually have programming to help teachers get training. We are engaging students, and we are hoping to grow this program. We're 2 years in, I believe, and we continue to desire to grow as time comes. Along with that, I've been teaching a course called What NASCAR and School Boards Have in Common.
Okay.
And I've taught one in Virginia, and I'm getting ready to teach one in West Virginia on May 16th. And it's really amazing how these people that never have seen a NASCAR race get so engaged.
Yeah.
And I think I'm building a fan base.
Well, so your goal is to make this happen in speedways across the country, it sounds like.
Well, it very well may. I mean, we certainly at Kentucky Speedway want that to be a jewel in our crown. And certainly, though, we would not, we would want students across the nation to be able to have this experience.
Well, that's tremendous. Ed, do you have any other things you're promoting right now? Any other projects coming up?
Well, the obviously the things with racetracks is they only have a few races a year, so that's it's been a year-long process to build interest in this program. What we are also promoting, though, and I'm doing this on my own initiative, is trying to educate board members about NASCAR. Strangely enough, but I do that by drawing the analogy of the teams. A driver cannot be successful without a pit crew.
Yes.
A superintendent cannot be successful without a board team. However, the crew members don't try to jump in the car in the middle of the race and run the race. Very much like a board member should not try to step into the role of a superintendent.
All right, well, fantastic, Ed. Thanks for calling the program. I definitely want to invite you back more, talking education, more of your journey, different topics that you can definitely be, when we're talking school boards. If you're a late night guy, I'd love to have you on one of my roundtable discussions to provide some of that understanding, especially being the president of the National School Board. So thanks again for calling, Ed.
I would welcome the opportunity, and thank you for this great experience.
Oh, it was fun. Take care.
Thanks
you.
again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was again the Neil Haley Show. Tremendous show. I'm so excited. Next week, some more great guests. You got to tweet me at Total Tutor with questions. And where have you watched the show? All over the world, where you can watch the show or listen to the show. So take care, everyone, and we'll talk next week.
Over 1 million people in the U.S. get cancer each year. Today we will be informing you about melanoma or skin cancer.
Symptoms of melanoma are changes in existing moles, the development of new pigmented or unusual looking growths on your skin, chills, cough, and feeling weak or achy.
Some risk factors of melanoma are fair skin and light-colored hair, applying sunscreen, avoiding midday sun, wearing protective clothing, wearing a hat, sunglasses, and avoiding tanning beds are all ways of preventing melanoma.
Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer. In fact, 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. If you experience any of these symptoms, contact your doctor immediately. Yearly professional skin exams are recommended.